Hello, I'm Philip Stoughton. I'm here at SMT in Nuremberg and I'm joined by Jason Spera from Aegis. Jason, good to see you again, always a pleasure.
Good to see you, thanks.
Over here, lots of talk about Industry 4.0, lots of talk about intelligent supply chain, smart supply chain, which to me it's all about. You've got some products that play into that, and we talked about the factory product, but you've also got InStock, which is one of your newer pieces of software that you almost snuck out into the market. Tell me a bit about that.
I don't think our marketing director would like but nonetheless, InStock, it's basically, and with regard to the issue of data and big data and Industry 4.0 and so forth, it's about getting all the data you possibly can into the central repository of the enterprise. And InStock, in a way, serves that. We needed a mobile solution in the factory to handle all the transactions that are happening from the warehouse to the lines in terms of material control. So not verification at the point of use, that's other systems of course that have to handle that, but there is a bit of a gap with ERP in the way that the warehouse is handled, the dispatching of, we call them transport orders to the lines, right, because the ERP knows what needs to go on in terms of the consumption overall, but it doesn't actually know specifically where the materials are when they move to the floor. Nor do they know with any accuracy what the consumption is. So with our solutions now, we add all that in. We assist the operators, all the chaos in the warehouse can be eliminated, the dispatch to Kanbans and local stores, and then bringing those back using different strategies of how you pull them from stock, things that ERP doesn't delve into.
Okay, so all that materials management, which is a fundamental part of that, and you're doing that using an app on a handheld device or a smartphone or a tablet?
It's platform independent in that it can run in any browser. But we actually ship it embedded in a Motorola device, which is ruggedized. It has a built-in laser scanners and everything that's needed to support the actual transactions. But it actually is platform neutral.
Okay, so one of the things I'm curious about when you see all these pieces of software that seem to work very well together is the idea of multiple dashboards is what kind of upsets me a little bit. I kind of feel I want a single app where I can get all that data, all that information.
Well, you're not alone in that.
Yeah. Is that a ridiculous hope, or is that something that can easily be done?
Not at all. Actually, you've touched on the number one complaint I think everybody has is there's tons of systems that get data reasonably well into a database. It's when the data has to come out that all, as we say, the wheels fly off then.
Right.
Because there's entire industries have sprung up around aggregating data from multiple data sources, and our philosophy is manufacturing operations needs to have a central database. It's suboptimal to have all sorts of point solutions. Even if you go best in class, it sounds good, but it's not good once you need to get the data out. And that's where having a singular solution for as much as your challenges in the factory boundary, just like in a way ERP has done. ERP's taken the business side systems and functions and consolidated them. And our philosophy is the same needs to be done in operations. So you wind up with, I guess you'd say, a few cardinal systems and no more than that, not a million different solutions all over.
Yeah, and then you add all the processes around it, which make it not just a smart process, but a smart supply chain, which again, I think people seem more concerned about. And I talk to more and more, particularly contract manufacturers, and they're talking much more in this supply chain language now. They're not talking about manufacturing, they're talking about fulfilling.
It's the philosophy of being an actual solution provider in the overall chain.
Does that play well with what you're providing? And when you do that, do you have to have real collaboration from every equipment vendor that can fit into all those different processes?
Absolutely, because we have the challenges of like vertical traceability now. It's not enough to just have traceability from the surface mount line, and it's not enough to even have it all the way through the process to test. Now the traceability has to roll up in from the card to the chassis to the vehicle or aircraft it goes into, or what they want visibility to everything that happened. It's interesting because only maybe 7 years ago, traceability in general at any level was considered an exotic requirement. Now, it's not exotic, it's everyone, exactly. But the scope of what traceability means is expanding at a rather alarming rate.
So when you look at that, when you look down at those particular pieces of equipment, how do you manage the situation where you've got equipment vendors that almost feel to me as if they want to be that software solution provider themselves. They're kind of coming at it the opposite direction, whereas you being agnostic, that makes sense to me. You can take all that data and you can make it flow, but they kind of come at it from the other direction.
Well, that's an interesting point, because there are two approaches to this in the industry, in our space, I guess you'd say specifically, is some software vendors see themselves as supplanting what the machine vendors are offering. We do not.
Okay.
Our solution in our company looks at the machine vendor solutions as a data provider.
Okay.
So it's necessary for us. We don't necessarily mind whether the customer wants to use the setup control system from the vendor, is fine, or wants to use if they have an older machine with no setup control capability, they can use our solution.
Yeah.
And we can use both in the same line if necessary.
Yeah.
The point with our objective isn't necessarily to take over verification functions, it's whether we get the data. Because all our customers care about is, in the end, do I have the process interlocking to maintain control, and do I get the traceability and analytics I need? So whether the data source at the line level is coming from the machine vendor's tool or ours is irrelevant to us.
Yeah, but then I look at it and I think one of the things we're always talking about is changeover time.
Yeah.
Changeover time is something that you'll see the printer manufacturers work on, the placement manufacturers. Now you're starting to see the oven manufacturers take it seriously because they have these big thermal patterns. To me, the only way you can get the optimum changeover is to mix all that data.
Yes.
And to say, okay, well, someone outside of those three machines has got to choose which order to put the families in to make it work. Is that something that where you as an external provider can add value?
Well, we don't add value in terms of the consultancy. What we do is, it's the classic thing, you can't improve what you don't measure. I've been in, I've been in factories with a nice executive office overlooking 8 lines and looking out, talking with someone who is almost elevated voice telling me I cannot produce anymore in this factory, I'm at maximum capacity, and I'm looking across the lines and all the Kaizen lights are red. Is because they don't have the analytics to know that they have a different issue than they believe they have. So what we like, our mission is to get all that data to people in a manner where they can interrogate it and actually take action upon it. It isn't just reams of reports that are meaningless. Our analytics tools are quite different because they're meant to be interactive and to the end of actually enabling them to improve the enterprise.
Well, certainly something I see. I see vendors working very hard to do something at one point in a line without being aware of actually they're resolving something that isn't an issue unless something further down the line is resolved. So, they speed up change up here, but change over here is fixed at this time, and whether this is 8 or 6 minutes, it doesn't matter because this one's 12. So there's challenges there. Last question, the market here. What's it looking like for you at the moment? It seems pretty buoyant.
The Central European market? It's very, very good. I think I've discussed it before with you, is particularly Germany, Central Europe, there's an inherent awareness of that predates what happened in other markets, is that data and control is something you just have to do. It's a matter of how you go about it. We're not in an educational process in Central Europe of this is what MES does. Is the German market in particular, MES is a foregone conclusion. It's just what platform will they choose.
And I guess they're also driving developments, asking many more questions, talking about much more requirements, and it's no surprise that Industry 4.0 is being driven out of this this particular region. Jason, always a pleasure to chat. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll chat again soon.
Appreciate it.